We are go. Good morning, Paul Lyons.
Good morning, Martin.
How are you doing, mate? Okay?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too. For people watching this, Paul and I actually went to school. He hasn't changed much, to be fair to him, but
You're too kind.
how are you getting on, mate? How are you getting on in the last couple of months? We've been keeping in touch, but how's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been an experience, but all good. I think if anything, one thing that I've always sort of vowed to myself since we went into lockdown was to just kind of remain positive. There's a lot of negativity out there in social media and in different sort of channels. So I'd sort of vowed, just to sort of remain positive around the family and in the business as well, and kind of do as much as we can just to make sure it goes the right way for us.
And the business is DesignWeb. You've had a bit of a rebrand and a revamp over the last couple of months, haven't you? Was that coming up anyway, or is that something you've kind of done during the?
Yeah, yeah. So, like you say, sort of from DesignWeb. So, primarily we're a web design and digital marketing agency based up in St. Asaph. So yeah, I mean, prior to, well, just sort of towards the turn of the year, we'd rebranded, got our new website up and running, and we're sort of really looking forward to a big push in 2020. And obviously, sort of despite what's happened, we're still sort of following through with that. Done lots of business development work recently, looking at our processes, sort of ways that we handle our customers. Yeah, and just wanted to continue that.
That's been the case with a few companies that have taken this opportunity. They've had this to-do list for months or years, and this is almost forced upon them, the things they couldn't do because of the time, and you've had that time to do it. I know you've got children there and family at home as well, so you're doing the homeschooling, you're doing everything else as well at the same time.
Yeah, like you say, yeah, we've got 3 children and a dog that's equally as demanding. But yeah, no, it's been. I mean, it's sort of one of the positives, really, if you can, if you're allowed to have a positive in this time, is that there are lots and lots of jobs within the business. I mean, lots of jobs in private life as well that you sort of neglect, and it's easy to sort of overlook, and it can be months turn to years. But I've spent sort of a lot of time recently looking at the business plan, like I say, looking at processes, documents, looked at a CRM system for managing our client base, and for doing marketing as well. So there's not really a sort of stone that hasn't been unturned really recently.
Is there a particular part of the business that's, because obviously I do primarily PR, as you know, but I've also do a bit of social media, a little bit of marketing here and there. But is there a particular part of your business that's you're doing a lot of and not so much of other things, or is everything?
I suppose in terms of development, the one thing that we've really sort of concentrated on is we've obviously been going for 20 years, so we've got a very good established client base, primarily across North Wales and Chester area, but we have got sort of customers in Europe and North America, South America, albeit more sort of single customers there. We're sort of finding at the moment that business is almost the same as it ever was. Initially there was a month period where maybe sort of businesses were quite anxious about where things were going to go, didn't maybe sort of they weren't sort of geared up to continue doing business, maybe sort of changing environments. But we sort of found we've had quite a few inquiries through from startups and existing customers that have sort of diversified really, realizing that their existing sort of product or service offering has needed to be changed to to actually sort of sell services online. People like, say, golf professionals that are moving from traditional lesson format into into online lessons and webinars. So
is that the case in PR? You keep in touch with other people within the sector, with the CIPR, etc. Is that the case with what you do, or is it a bit too wide? I mean, how's your sector as a whole been affected? I guess you can do it from home. You're working from home at the moment. You can still operate with all the same technology and things like that. Yeah,
I mean that's sort of a difficult question really, because I mean we work with other creative agencies. So many years ago I sort of realised that it's great to say that your existing customer base are almost like your sales team. So if you do a good job for your own customers, they're going to go and recommend and refer you to new business. I sort of realised a few years ago that it was worthwhile teaming up with other creative agencies maybe people like yourself, if you're in PR, if you're a copywriter, if you're an SEO, photographer, videographer, these are all people that we can work with on a daily basis, supporting our businesses, but can also sort of act as our sales arm. Sort of in answer to your question, we work with a couple of other web agencies, or know them sort of really well. One of them is struggling, which is sort of never nice to hear. And I think the other one is sort of, he's doing enough to sort of get by. I don't know sort of what it would be like nationally. I know early on, I had sort of a couple of people say to us that, in our industry, we should be thriving, almost like, you should be millionaires now and all retired and out the other side, because of where businesses need to sort of turn their attention to and start looking at, the digital marketing platform and having a strategy there. But that's easier sort of said than done, isn't it? In principle, that's great. But I think, the uncertainty of everything, especially when it first happened in lockdown, businesses aren't just going to have an open checkbook and start writing checks to web design companies to further their web presence, because they've got more important things to look at, like staff and their overheads.
Yeah, exactly. And I've spoken to a few people, and we've discussed a couple of organizations in the last couple of months who are looking at getting new websites. But it's that balance of, right, I can finally take the step back now. I've been forced, at self-isolation and working from home. I can look at my website. I can look at these things I haven't had the chance to do. But also, can I afford to spend that money? Because even though it is an investment for the future, every penny is being looked at, isn't it? It's difficult. What about the next few months for you? How do you think the next few months are going to look logistically and with the business? I mean, because you, like you said, you have got an office there in St. Asaph. Do you see yourself going back to that office in the next few months, or are you going to carry on? Because there's a few.
It's a difficult situation. I think sort of perception from customers' point of view. If you're concerned about maybe what your customers think, whether you've got the office or not, maybe in other times people will be maybe less accepting of you without that office environment. I think now maybe people would understand that there's maybe not that necessity, or that need to actually have the business office there. It's rather sort of strange because whilst it's not a massive expense that we've got, we've obviously got big overheads with hosting and provision of services for customers. Silly little things like your Google My Business page, which is kind of an important part of, it's part of your profile, it's part of your, your search engine exposure when people are looking for local businesses, to find agencies like us to work with. That would all go if you don't have that business premises. So it's kind of a, do we sort of accept that the monthly rent and the overheads for the business, or do we lose things like the My Business page, lose the address on Facebook, lose the address off your website, and where do you put that then? I think businesses don't really want to be putting residential addresses down if you've got the option not to.
I was exploring it literally in St. Asaph area as well, because I live in Kimmel Bay. I've moved home in the last 12 months, but I can do what I do from the kitchen table or a coffee shop or whatever, and I have done quite successfully for the last couple of years. It's gone quite well in terms of just being able to do the work. So I was exploring that earlier this year, started looking at premises, and then all of a sudden this happened, and now again it's and I've still been getting calls and emails in the last couple of months from business parks who are still looking to take people on. I think a lot of people probably have decided that they're going to get rid of their offices. I know nationwide, certain banks in particular and certain other companies are just slashing buildings left, right and centre, aren't they? And thousands of people.
I think there'll be sort of more of a demand. I mean, I've always said that there, particularly in Denbighshire, seems to be a shortage of sort of small office space, with sort of shared facilities for businesses. Whether this will all lead to sort of maybe more startups and people, looking to set their own businesses up and sort of take on that small sort of office space. But sadly, I think there's going to be lots of bigger space on these industrial parks and business parks that's sort of going to be left now for years to come, really.
Yeah, I know a few people are still paying their rent, etc., and while they're empty, and it's difficult. But then again, they've got to still make money, haven't they? What about the one thing we always talk about on these is the government response. Well, obviously, we're in Wales here, but the Welsh and UK government response in terms of furloughing and funding and grants and the business loans, etc. Is anything? What do you think about all that?
Well, sort of. I mean, recently, we've obviously sort of your traditional networking has kind of gone out the window, but we've carried on doing lots of Zoom networking meetings with people, as well as discussing projects and amendments to sites and things with our own customer base. What we found is that some of our customers, I mean, maybe I shouldn't sort of name counties, but certain counties seem to have responded really well to the to the business loans and the 10,000 sort of funding for people that are within in that sort of situation. But then we found that other county councils have been really slow to actually get the information out there to begin with, get the application process in, and to actually sort of release the funds. So some businesses have been able to continue as they were and have that sort of security there, whereas others in certain counties have been a little bit sort of behind really on not knowing whether something's going to happen or not.
Yeah. What about personally? You personally, how have you coped then? Again, we touched upon homeschooling earlier on. The 3 kids there. You have you got any prior? I know the 2 in high school or 3.
So yeah, we've got 2 in high school.
Yeah.
So a 17-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-year-old. So
Charlie's 17.
Charlie's just recently turned 17.
Wow, good.
So we've been sort of fortunate, enough with him. So he's finished his first year of college. So he's been an excellent help with the 2 younger ones then, for especially sort of quadratic equations and multiplying fractions and all of these sorts of things.
Struggling with the 4 and 6 times table with my 2 in primary school. So you were always a bit of a maths whiz, weren't you?
Yeah, telling the time, that's sort of a topic that we've been sort of covering recently as well. And then losing track of it when we've been sort of working in the business. But no, it's I suppose we've been sort of quite lucky really, because obviously I've got my wife and the 3 children around us, and there's always like the people to talk to. There's always a different sort of environment there that you can get into, different topics of conversation. So we're sort of quite lucky in that respect personally. And obviously from the fact that we can sort of work from home. I think probably the biggest challenge, something that I've been used to for years as well, is just that work life balance really. It's too easy to sort of spend too much time in front of the computer, especially in our industry, and then trying to fit in that extra time to do the homeschooling, which may not always kind of dovetail in around Zoom meetings with clients and one thing and another. So it's been good that the elder ones have been helping the little one, but a new challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, that definitely. Like you though, I've always found you're far more productive working from home. It depends how motivated you are, and if I'm quite good at being quite disciplined. But then you can find yourself doing 8, 9, 10, 11 hours. I was there till say 9, 10 last night. Really, I should have switched off earlier, because there's always something to do. You think I've just got to keep going, and that mentality isn't really that healthy for you, especially for your mental health. But when you've got your own business as we have, you have to, don't you? But you have to, if you did have an office, for example, and you've got other people around, you might only be productive for say 3, 4, 5 hours maximum of the day, because you're making a cup of tea or someone's having a chat about what they watched on TV last night, or it's a different world.
Yeah, it's all about focus, isn't it? And you sort of feel far more productive, and then feel better about yourself when it comes to the end of the day. Then just to go and do some more family orientated things, go out for walks. Been doing some nice walks along the prom at Real and sort of down past the golf club, bike rides and all of that. So I think you enjoy your family time a little bit more then, from just getting that balance right.
You're missing going out and playing football, because we used to play a bit of football together. And you're a big Liverpool fan. I mean, what are you thinking about the rest of the season there? Don't want to talk too much about football for the viewers, but yeah.
No, I mean, I think I suppose like the biggest sort of change in my, I suppose, like weekly, I don't know what you call it, time allocation really, or demands on my time. Obviously, sort of been the manager of the reserve team up at St. Asaph.
Of course.
So things like sort of your Tuesday night training, Saturday games, travelling all the way across North Wales backwards and forwards, with the team there. I'm probably finding that I've got a good maybe 15-20 hours that have just suddenly become free. So that's been great for business development and to invest into into DesignWeb. But yeah, I'm sort of missing that side now.
Yeah, does the season just start back up in August, September?
No, it's just been written off. So I mean, it's only a reserve division anyway. But I think the whole Welsh Alliance and Reserve League has just been written off now. So no plans of when that's going to get restarted.
Your beloved Liverpool might still get a chance to win the league behind closed doors by the look of it.
Yeah, hopefully. We've waited long enough, haven't we? So
you deserve that. You deserve it. As a Wrexham fan, just staying out of any football debate. Well, great to speak to you, mate. I'm glad you look in good health, and love to the family, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Thanks very much, mate. Same to you. Best wishes.
You too, mate. Take care.